Let's say you get a $12,000 raise. You're excited. It's clear that your company values you and you want to reward yourself. You get something like a BMW, which is a $900 car payment. And just like that, your entire raise is almost gone. And if you're not careful, the extra taxes might have caused you to spend more money than the additional raise money that reached your account. You're technically making more money, but you've just got caught up in lifestyle creep. Technically, you're making more money, but when it comes to the game of money, you're worse off and you won't feel richer. That is lifestyle creep, which is why it is so important. And that is one of the biggest reasons I still budget with percentages. Most people have heard of the 50-30-20 rule. And if you haven't, it's 50% goes to needs, 30% goes to wants, and 20% goes to investing, savings, debt reduction. I don't think this is a bad starting point, but I have been budgeting since I opened up my first checking account almost 20 years ago. And over time, I realized this system has two major flaws. The first flaw, it gives your spending places to hide. And second, it tells you what your percentages should be before even asking what you want your life to look like. Quick context on why I care so much about this. I'm not some finance guru or some 20-year-old that made millions off of social media or Shopify. I went to college. I have student loans. I've worked regular W-2 jobs. But budgeting is how I was able to stack my paycheck, buy a property, budget some more, stack, and buy another property. By the end of my 20s, I've built a net worth over $500,000. And I have 7 rental properties that bring me passive income. Budgeting has genuinely been a foundational tool for me to turn my paycheck into assets. Now let's show you my system. But before we do that, one of the big mistakes I see is you need to do your percentages based off your actual take-home pay. If you make $100K a year, 50% is not $50,000. You have to think about taxes, insurance. You need to budget based off the money that lands into your banking account. And start with the actual number hitting your bank account, then divide that. I use 4 categories. Number 1, fixed expenses. Number 2, variable needs. Number 3 is a savings, investing, debt reduction, aka future self bucket. And number 4 is variable wants, aka guilt-free spending. Those are the only 4 numbers I really care about. Fixed expenses are bills that are hitting your account every month. That would be a lease, a car loan, student loans. And I separate this because fixed expenses determine how much flexibility you have. It is way easier to say, hey, I'm not going to DoorDash like to help my budget, than hey, I need to get rid of this $900 car lease tomorrow. Fixed expenses affect flexibility. I like to keep my fixed expenses low. I have more freedom. And fixed expenses can hold lifestyle creep. And fixed lifestyle creep is the most dangerous because it's the hardest to reverse. Groceries reset. Those are easier things to monitor, change, fluctuate. But once it becomes fixed, the car loan that lasts 6 years, it stops feeling like a decision you get to alter and starts feeling like a fact of life. Variable needs. Okay, the second category is variable needs. That would be stuff like groceries, dog food, gas. These are things you genuinely need, but the amount changes. I separate these into a different bucket because the word need can get real flexible. Yes, I need groceries, but did I need to spend $60 getting lobster tails and scallops for some bougie Alfredo I wanted to make? Probably not. Yes, dog food is a need. Did I need to pick up 4 toys when I walked past the dog section at Meijer? Probably not, even though my dog Hefe would be like, absolutely. That doesn't mean I can't buy those things, but we have to be very honest and aware of what we're stating our needs and where we're putting our money towards. The third category, the future self bucket, that's investing, emergency savings, paying down debt, or saving towards like a big goal like a home or a wedding. But their traditional rule recommends 20%. But for me, I care a lot about being able to retire. And so I've been doing at least 50% of my income, and I live off the other 50%. And that does not mean you need to do 50%. I just wanted to point that out because your number should reflect what you want out of life and what you want your money to do for you. My fourth category is variable wants, which is what I call guilt-free spending. This is the fun stuff, right? The restaurants, the travel, the beauty, the massages, self-care, traveling, stuff I want rather than need. And when I say guilt-free, if I give myself $1,000, I am not tracking how much I'm spending at a coffee shop or a bar, or, oh, I spent too much on this t-shirt or this dog toy. I do not interrogate every single item I buy. This is a bucket. And so as long as I'm staying within that range of $1,000 for this example, then I'm set. Because I do think some people get too into the weeds of saving, and money is still meant to be enjoyed. We're still meant to live in the moment. And this is helping us do that by giving us a tool to be like, hey, go live life. Go take that trip. Go to Italy. The only time it becomes a problem that you have to dive into the weeds of this is if you go over the budget, because that means it's taking away from your future self bucket or it's taking away from your needs, and that's not acceptable. And that's when we have to have a conversation of, why did I DoorDash 10 times that week? This is the other thing I don't believe about following the 50-30-20 rule. It gives everybody the same answer, but everybody doesn't want the same life. For me, I love experiences more than I maybe love the luxuries of cars and stuff. I like to keep my guilt-free spending a little higher on that percentage. And I really care about freedom, but I like to keep my fixed expenses lower and my future self and investing higher. Because I want the ability to leave my job if I want to, take time off to travel, go after my business ventures and investing. Savings and investing is a pretty high percentage for me. I know people that love food, love fine dining, but they don't care if they're pulling up and getting valeted in a hoopty. Shoot, a foodie in a hoopty. Everyone has the life that they really want. And so it's about finding a percentage that works and then sticking within that framework. Same 4 categories, completely different percentages. I'm giving you the categories. You bring the life. But I'm not going to pretend that you can choose whatever percentages you want. Ultimately, let's say you're making 40 or 50K. And rent is $1,500, that may be a higher percentage than you want, even if you love to travel. And so that's where we have to start bringing in resourcefulness. How can we create more income? Can we do a side hustle? And you really have to be resourceful in both making more money and budgeting the money you do have. So for me, I was living in the cut and my mortgage was $325. You probably will not find that now since COVID and the pricing boom of houses, but I was willing to make that sacrifice while my other friends had rooftop pools and crazy views and amenities. I drove in a car with no AC for 5 years, even though I could have afforded a car right out of school. It all just depends on what you're willing to sacrifice. But I was never willing to sacrifice travel. I've done girls' trips, been out the country, seen so many things, and I don't regret it. And it's okay that your first budget may not be your dream budget, but once you're in numbers, you can start changing them. And that percentage is going to protect you as you continue to increase and grow your income. I absolutely think you should enjoy your money. Reward yourself. We only live once. Your dollars go up, but your percentages stay the same until you decide that your percentages should change based on your goals. Okay, I'm going to break this down real quick because I used to track everything. And now I'm going to show you how I do it in 15 minutes. Every coffee shop, every bar, I would be like, I spent $27.72 at coffee shops and I should only be spending $20. Every category, every subcategory, every transaction, I was on it. And that worked until my life got more complicated. I have a job, a business, rental properties, while trying to manage family, health, and everything that comes with life. And so I didn't have time to spend 3 hours on a budget. I'm trying to put that time into making more money. And a budget that takes 3 hours is eventually going to be a budget you quit. Now I track 4 numbers. I use Simplify. It automates all my transactions into these categories. Once a week, I spend about 15 minutes reviewing everything. Fixed expenses, good. Variable needs, good. Variable wants, good for spending, good. Investing, yep, I'm headed to my goals, good. If they're all 4 green, I'm set. I close my laptop and call it a day. Now, if something's red and I went over, that's when I go into the weeds and really dissect. Okay, what do I need to change? What behaviors do I need to implement to get back on track? And this makes it very easy to keep them in. Ultimately, this is a very, very easy to use framework that allows you to be honest, give yourself grace. And the goal is not to be perfect. Getting a B or B plus will do you so much better than never starting because you don't want to face the fear of looking at what the numbers are telling you. I promise you, it gets easier as you do it. It's second nature to me now. And it has allowed me the freedom to really look at my life and use money as a tool instead of having money control all my thoughts and desires. It's just a tool of, what do I want to get out of this? What do I want my money to do for me? If I could leave you with just like overall mindset, is just when I was in college, I remember I was planning out my salary and I was like, wow, I'm going to be making double my household income of my family of 4 growing up. And I was like, I'm set. I don't even need to worry about money. And then I heard this statistic that 98% of people live paycheck to paycheck. And that could be whether you're making $30,000 or $300,000 a year. People are still living paycheck to paycheck. So that stress of, what do I do if I lose my job? Or what happens if an emergency comes up? The stress is the same no matter how much people are earning, because they're putting themselves in this position that they're reliant and they're in need and they're in this survival mode still. Ultimately, choose the percentages based on what you actually want in life, not what you think you should or what your friends or peer group think you should. And then be honest about where you're at in your budget now and find ways to be resourceful, to keep going after what you want in life. You can do it. We can do it. Let's get after it. Budgeting, maybe not fun, but it's helpful and effective and rewarding. As always, I'm rooting for you. I believe in you. Go live life intentional.